Hello and welcome to your daily astrology and tarot horoscope for August 20, 2014. This is a Wednesday. So the planet of the day is Mercury, and the best way to align with Mercury energy today is, well, one way to look at it is to get more specific. So Mercury today is in Virgo, and Virgo is an earth sign, and it is a mutable sign. And I've been reading an astrology book that I'm liking a ton right now. This is Traditional Astrology. I just lost my bookmarks. This is Traditional Astrology for Today. It's by Benjamin Dykes. And it's a very small book, as you can see. Very, very, very simple to read. Very straightforward and elegant. It's traditional text, so it's different than modern astrology. And I actually come from more of a traditional astrology background. To not go into too much detail about it, but to give you some quick highlights of what I'm trying to say is, traditional astrology uses basically the seven personal planets: the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. It doesn't include those outer planets, and it doesn't really include like Lilith, Dark Moon Lilith. It doesn't include. They don't include the asteroids, things like that. And in fact, a lot of even traditional astrologies today maybe use the outer planets, but they only use them if they're making a tight aspect to something, or are hitting an angle really hard or something like that. They don't really use the outer planets that much in their predictions, and they're pretty successful at it. And in fact, some of the techniques to explore like astrology in a deep pattern way, like right now we use Pluto to look at revolutionary trends. The old-time astrologers used the conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn, and they studied the cycles of when those planets conjunct and how they conjunct and where they conjunct, and it kind of gave them the cycle and cultural feedback they knew to make this like predictive and historical astrology. So that's all kind of covered in this book. But why I'm bringing it up is just because the planet of the day is Mercury. One way to align with Mercury is to understand where it's at, which is in Virgo. And what is Virgo but an earth sign and a mutable sign? And so what that leads me to believe is that today is going to be a day in the communication and thought realm of bombardment. It's going to be more varied, repetitious. In this book, it says if planets were common signs are what mutable signs were, and if they were in common signs, they signify the loosening of matters and repetitions, and other things will be attached to that matter or some such other thing. So it's just basically a whole bunch of things coming up, popping up, and you being able to juggle that in an intellectual way. They might be tangible things you're trying to juggle, like, oh, you got to do the laundry, you got to take out the trash, you got to move the car. These are the type of tangible earthy things that a mutable sign will force you to think about and to deal with. So just be prepared on this Mercury day to allow yourself to make a list of many things and to align with it. Be prepared to juggle with that list, to approach that, approach taking out the trash, So making a list and doing your chores and trying to do it in a varied way is one excellent way. It's quite simply to align with that Mercury energy. The card of the day is, this is a water card. This is a page of water in the Osho deck, and it's understanding. And as you can see, the bird is looking outside of the cage, and it's kind of hard to see the detail on the video, but those bars are truly illusionary. This bird is really part of another group, of something bigger, and right now it's being caged and held back by these illusionary bars, but at any time it can fly out and be with the people it's supposed to be with. This week is something I've been discussing and over and over about being a fire-water week. Well, here we are on a Wednesday getting a water card, just aligning with that energy even more. Here we are getting yet another message about, we're not in that place that supports us. Just like yesterday was the Major Arcana card, the 8 of Courage, I should say. It was the 8 of Courage and it was of a wildflower growing in a place that's not quite an element for a flower. Here's a bird being caged behind something. A bird is not meant to be caged, it's meant to fly free with the other birds. And here it is being caged in an element that's not its natural element, not where it's supposed to be. To me, the clear sign for the week is that we're still in these things. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're still behind the cage, but we can fly free. Everything I'm seeing about this week in terms of the cards, I'll say it again. I said it yesterday because when I pulled I'll have a link to my weekly tarot reading that goes through every card of the day that I pulled for this week. But for the entire reading of the week, Friday we got the existence card, which is the one card, and that's showing somebody sitting on a leaf just contemplating the universe. The very next day you get another major arcana card, which is it was the 17 card, and it was silence. And silence is like a meditative card, and just meditating on these lessons and what's going on, and preparing ourselves for our final exodus into showing who we truly are, showing our true colors, and letting the U flag fly. I hate calling it the freak flag, letting the U flag fly. And so it's a very passive energy in terms of being behind the scenes, being, it's the cocoon before, you come out this beautiful butterfly. Right now we're all these beautiful butterflies, and right now we need to stay in our cocoon as we're preparing our wings to even be more beautiful and to be ready to fly. It's silly, but it's true. That's what all the signs are pointing to in terms of the divination stuff that I've been using, in terms of the tarot, in terms of looking at the astrology horoscope on a daily basis. The major things that's going on in the chart for today, it's really hard doing a daily reading when there's not a lot of things that change. The moon changes, the nodes move pretty fast. It's just a big deal when major things start coming into hard angles. But the only thing I can say is the sun is getting closer to leaving Leo, so we're edging towards that new Virgo energy, and Virgo is once again that Earth and mutable sign. And one of the things they discussed in this book, why it's considered a mutable sign, is during this time the season is changing. It's oscillating between what it wants to be. It's still a little bit of summer, and it's still ready to become completely fall. It's just not quite there yet. And that's why Virgo is considered a mutable sign, because it's going to have flashes of the summer temperature, and it's going to also have flashes of the fall. And I'm already experiencing that. I run every weekend, and when I went to Griffith Park, the trails that I run at, I'm seeing leaves here in Los Angeles, and they're falling, and they're not just falling green. They're not just leaves falling from the tree. They're leaves now falling with the yellow colors in them. I'm looking out the windows at the cube, in my cube at work, and some of the trees the leaves are not just quite red. They're turning brown now before they're falling. So, but not all the trees are doing this. So it is that kind of oscillation between the two seasons that I see going on right now. And that's what this Virgo energy is all about, and the sun is etching its way toward that. And we're going to be experiencing more of that as time goes on. But in terms of the forecast for Wednesday, just know that the moon is now moved into Cancer. It moved into its sign very, very early, like 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So the moon is now in its own placement. And in traditional astrology, being in its own placement means it's in a good placement. It's not making any hard or crazy aspects to anything. It's almost trining Neptune, and in modern astrology, Neptune to the moon is a very positive thing. So you're going to have these very spiritual thoughts. You're going to be very watery with your emotions. You're going to have these great, powerful insights and visualizations you can do, or just let your imagination kind of take off. It's kind of hard to do that when I'm going to be in my cube at 8 o'clock in the morning when this is going on. So, but it's going to be that calmer, like everything's going to be okay kind of feeling. But, so yeah, I think it's just more of a gentle Wednesday. I think it's just an understanding that we're not quite there yet with the goals that we're trying to achieve, but just that continual work on getting your emotions right, on getting your intentions right. This is a perfect time as we're etching toward that new moon to be thinking of your new moon intentions, to be reflecting on the intentions you made from the last moon, because right now we're in a last quarter moon, so we're just about to get into that balsamic moon, and so it's a good time to think of your intentions for for August, September, and that new moon coming. Other than that, that's all I'm seeing in the changes of the chart. That's a big deal to mention. I mean, Mercury's kind of getting away from the Neptune opposition. So Mercury's at 9 degrees Virgo and Neptune is at 6 degrees Pisces. So they're no longer, that's kind of leaving orb. Mars is getting closer and closer to Saturn. And yeah, that's about all. The only thing I'd like to discuss is, when you have an easy flowing water day like this, how you can make this more applicable to you is just look at where the moon is, the transiting moon is in your chart, and since it's going to be making one of those friendly, nice water trines to Neptune, think about what's going on in your water charts around that 3 to 6 degree mark, and see what's going to be stimulated by that. But also just look at your chart and see where the moon is transiting, period. So if I was to pull up my chart right now, my transiting moon is in the 10th house, and that the 10th house is of career and fame, and so my emotions are going to be more geared towards that. So, and with a trine to Neptune, I'm going to have more fantasies of like how my career could be, what I would want for my career, and that's the way I can channel the energy. So, I would really encourage you to look at that. And I mean, Neptune is in my 6th house of work, so basically the kind of fantasy that it's going to be feeding is it's going to be giving me good emotions and thoughts about how I can transform my current work situation into the career that I want it to be. It's that sort of story line that starts to develop. So you'll have a similar storyline. Maybe yours is in the 7th and 11th house. So that's kind of like, how does your spouse or your current partnerships bring in the friendships that you need? Though that's how that would stimulate you if the two planets were in those houses. So whenever somebody does a daily horoscope, it's very, very important to look at how it plugs into your chart. So can't stress that enough. And yeah, I think I've rambled for long enough. I hope this was helpful. My name is Nicholas. You can visit my website at www.nicholasdewart.com, and thank you for watching.